There we go.
Okay, here we go. I think we got it now.
Are we live?
Yes, we are. I think so.
Okay.
I see a little red box up in the corner. So,
Oh, yeah. No, mine's usually delayed for like 30 seconds.
oh, really?
I can,
Okay. Well,
yeah, I don't know.
we are. I believe that we are live. We're missing our buddy tonight, though.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Miss Victoria is not with us. Queen Victoria, if you get on or get to do the replay, we miss you. We miss
Yes, we
you,
do.
and we
We
hope
do.
things will be going well for you, and that you'll
Yep.
be back with us soon, soon, soon. That'll be a good thing. But in the meantime, she has left it up to us, Ruth. She's left us by ourselves to navigate this tonight, and we're gonna make you proud, Victoria.
There she is. There she is. Yes. Yeah, good evening. Yes.
So we got a great guest tonight. I'm going to try to do your part tonight, Victoria. I'm going to do our guest bio tonight and get that done. So I'm gonna make you proud, girl. I'm gonna pronounce everything right, and we we got a great guest. We've already had a chance to meet him, so we're excited about being able to bring him on and have
Oh,
him
yeah.
talk about his book. So, Ruth, you got anything else? I think we've got our layout
Mm-hmm.
all straight and lined up all straight, and we're ready to go, man. I'm telling you, I'm excited about this, and I want to give our author enough time because he did say he would read to us. So, I'm expecting that. I'm excited about that. So, Dr. Chaffins, we are ready to go whenever you are.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and put you on there then.
Thank you.
You're so kind.
I am. I really am. Anyway,
No one like you, Alan.
it's time to roll that mutable bean footage. All
What
right.
are we gonna do with him?
I don't know. And we're back.
Hey, hey. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Authors Up, our favorite place to be on Sunday evenings at 7
That's
p.m.
right.
And I look forward to you who are going to join us tonight. We have a great author. He has a great book. I'm saying we have a great book like we have it, but we do have it tonight. And we're excited about him being with us and the things that he's going to share from his work. And it's pretty exciting. It's pretty
It
exciting.
is. It is.
Yep. So as you can see, there are only two boxes on the screen tonight.
Mhm.
We are missing Queen Victoria. She is not with us tonight, but we are surely hoping that she will be back next week, and hopefully she'll have something to share with us from her weeks in review, because we
That's
haven't
it.
been with her, haven't seen her for a while. But I had an interesting week, and Ruth, you had an interesting week
Yes.
from the other side of the spectrum. But I had an opportunity. My big thing for the week was I had an opportunity to speak at a women's conference in Surf City,
All right.
which is down by the beach, and I was looking forward to it. Have been looking forward to it for some time, and then I checked the weather,
Mm-hmm.
and the tropical storm warnings were not looking in my favor at all. And my daughter was going to be driving, and I thought, whew, I don't know about this. I don't know about doing, being on the road in the rain. I don't
Yeah.
know how this is all going to work out. And I did spend some time in prayer, and I thought, God, you wouldn't give me an assignment and then make it such that I couldn't get to it.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
we just kind of settled down and settled in. We made it in just fine. But about 7 o'clock that evening, whew, the rains came. And when I tell you the rains came, our host was saying, no, don't look at the treetops. Don't look at the treetops. And I was like, but there's stuff happening out there. And he said,
Mhm.
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just don't look at the treetops. So we managed to make it through. And the day of the conference, which was on Saturday,
Yeah.
about 30 minutes in, the sun came out. It was windy, but it was nice, bright, dry, and we made it home just fine. And I guess we got about 15 minutes outside of Raleigh, and it began to rain again.
Mm.
So we missed the storm. The storm
Oh,
truly.
you must have hit the eye of the storm
Oh,
if you got the
yeah,
sun.
yeah, we got the sun. It was
Wow.
a good drive back, and
Yeah.
when we saw that sign that said Raleigh exit, we were like, woohoo, thank you. I was glad. I was glad to be home. Glad to be home. And that was my big thing for the week. Other than that, I was just doing a lot of writing and
Mm,
programming and things like that.
that's
So what
awesome.
was going on with you last week, Ruth?
Oh, well, a lot of work stuff. We'll just leave that there.
Yep.
Uh, you know what? And sometimes I'm learning balance when it comes to that. And you know what? Sometimes work just needs to stay at work and
Yeah.
then we'll focus on the other stuff. So we're going to focus on the other stuff because it was a part, outside of work. It was a good week. I've been like you, I've been working on my writing, trying something new, something different. So, um, I've been working on some fan fiction that I'm going to be posting as a serialization. So I'm not publishing a book, even though it's book length. So I'm excited about that. And then I found like one piece of information that I had been missing that I didn't know that I was missing, but totally changed, not totally changed the story, but threw a wrench in it. So I'm like, okay, this is a challenge. That's what I'm going to look at it as. So I had to stop and go back and
Mhm.
kind of rewrite again.
Mhm.
But again, as a writer, I love that. So it was just like, okay, well, we'll just move with it. And so that was like a good part of my week. And then yesterday was my birthday. Yay.
Woo, happy
Yes. Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you. So I am 49 and I don't mind sharing that. So, because I feel all of 35 again. So I'm sure, and I tell people at a certain point in your life, you just start, you just start celebrating anniversaries. So celebrating my anniversary, the 35th birthday. But no, it was just a lovely day. My husband was in Michigan with his dad, but he was flying in that evening, so I got to spend it with friends. I went out, was treated out for lunch. Just went and got my nails done. Uh,
All right.
it was just a lovely day. Got home in time to eat dinner, relax for a little bit, and then go pick my husband up at the airport. So it was just a good day.
Well, I'm glad you had a good birthday.
Thank you.
As you know, because you've known me for many years, I am so bad with birthdays, but
That's all right.
I really, because I celebrate people all the time, and I
Yeah.
celebrate them without reason. So I am really, really glad though that you had an
Thank you.
opportunity to enjoy your day. That is great,
Absolutely.
great, 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 great.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. And you were talking about writing. I am thinking
Uh-oh.
I might do the writing challenge this year. I'm
Oh,
thinking, thinking.
yay.
We're still in the thinking stage.
Okay, well, that's the first step, so we'll
I just
see.
might try to do that this year and
Okay.
see where that leads me.
Alright.
So tonight, are you ready? Are you ready for our
I'm
guest?
excited.
Ready? I'm ready too. I am ready too, and I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about him. Juanito Bernardin was born to Haitian parents in Montreal, Quebec, in Canada, and grew up in Montreal and then Ottawa, Ontario, the nation's capital. He went away to school in the Niagara region in southern Ontario, where he met his wife, and they have 2 daughters. After relocating his family back to Ottawa, he now serves as the Chief Information Officer at Library and Archives Canada, the federal government institution tasked with acquiring, preserving, and providing access to Canada's documentary heritage. Wow. He has served in a number of Canadian federal government departments and held leadership roles in the banking and insurance industry. Before joining the federal government, he worked in the information technology industry as a consultant, project manager, marketer, salesperson, and also a business leader. Juanito is deeply committed to community service and to making a positive contribution to the world around him. He has been a youth leader and elder in churches in Niagara and Ottawa, inspired audiences through his public speaking, coached one-on-one, and the list goes on. There's so much more in his bio, but we're going to let him share more about his life and his writing journey when we return after this break. So get ready to meet our guest for the evening, the author of Dad's Car Rides, Juanito Bernardin. We'll be right back. There you are.
Welcome.
Welcome, Juanito. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we are honored to have you. And we're just going to jump in because your book was, I think, very needed. It is a very good book, and we want to talk about it. So tell us about Dad's Car Rides.
Well, Dad's Car Rides is a book that I was inspired to write during the pandemic as I spent more time with my family working from home and enjoying meals together and breaks together and even walks together. And I thought of all the lessons and all of the moments that I experienced throughout my career that taught me so much. And I wanted to put all of these lessons in one format that they could access and read. My 2 daughters are 16 and 12, and I knew that this period of time is a precious period of time that I have their attention. And so I wanted to take maximum advantage of the fact that I have this special time of their attention to share these lessons, mixing not only my personal testimonies and stories, but also events in their own lives that they could remember and read and have a good time as they remember these moments we shared as a family and specifically as father and daughter.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So why car rides?
Well, because as I looked at the time of the pandemic and even before and after, the majority of the teaching moments that we have are in the car. When I'm driving them to school, we happen to live quite a ways away from the school they attend. And so that gives us 45 minutes to an hour sometimes of talk time in the morning and talk time in the evening. I thought that truly is one of our most precious times. It's riding in the car with Dad. And so Dad's Car Rides felt like an appropriate title to capture the moments we share and the lessons that I impart upon them through these conversations.
Okay. All right. So how did you determine which lessons to include in the book?
That was a challenge, I must say. I should give you some background. Originally, I thought of doing a daily devotional. So there would have been 365 ideas and thoughts. And I began writing the book by writing 1 page per day. And so I, in my mind, thought chronologically, if I start when my career started and go forward, I would at least have 20 years worth of content just based on my career. And then I thought, in addition, I would also go as far back as my childhood and think of moments that were significant to me. I began by putting all of those ideas in a spreadsheet and very quickly had 365 ideas, lessons from my career, lessons from school, lessons from church. I didn't run out of ideas,
Hmm.
but after about 5 or 6 months of writing, I thought to myself, I should check with my youngest daughter what kind of books she enjoys reading, because I don't want to create a volume that is so large that she doesn't have any interest in reading it.
Mhm.
Right.
And when I checked with her, she showed me a book that she really enjoyed, the number of pages it had, the margins, the size of the font. And I quickly realized I had far outdone myself in the sense that I had gone beyond the number of pages that I needed for a book that she
Sure.
would ever read. So at around the halfway mark, I stopped at around 6 months
Okay.
of writing and figured there are enough lessons here at 235 pages that she'll enjoy. And so that's where I
Okay.
stopped.
Okay. So does that mean there's a volume two coming?
I have enough in me for sure to write a volume
Right.
two, but I've been thinking that I will glean the feedback that I
Sure.
received from this book to determine whether I should do a volume two that is akin to the first one, or if I should do something different. I have ideas that perhaps volume two may be many fathers
Uh-huh.
sharing their stories rather than just my own
Oh,
experience.
nice.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah,
Be
that's
great.
good.
Yeah.
So then who is your audience? Are we talking parents or young adults, young children? Who are you targeting with this book and how should it be read? Is it
It's a good
something that yeah.
it's a good question. And being a marketer myself, whenever I start on a project, I usually think for a target market, and a target market that is quite narrow. So I have to be honest and say that my initial target market was truly my daughters.
Mhm.
So I have in mind that a teenager from age around 12, 13 to, I'd say, even a young adult, 24, 25, young
Okay.
woman could enjoy the book. However, as I developed it more and more, and my wife is my partner in everything that I do, and I spoke more to her, she brought to me the notion that it's really a good tool for connecting between the parents and the daughters. And so
Okay.
a primary reader could be the teen, but it is also appropriate for the father to read so that they have
Sure.
subject matter for discussion with their daughter. And it's also appropriate for the mothers to read so that they can have conversations on these topics with the father and ensure they're aligned when speaking to their children. So,
Mhm.
really, you have a primary audience that is young women, I'd say age 13 to say 24, 25, even
Mhm.
maybe older.
Mhm.
And then you have the father, secondary, and then the whole family really reading it together, and it's formatted in such a way that they can read just 1 or 2 pages and really get 2 or 3 quick ideas that are worthy of discussion for the day or for the week, and then tackle the next one the next time they want to read.
Okay. All right. So what was your planning process like? Because this isn't necessarily something that you just sit down and write, your beginning, middle, end, that type of thing. So, and how long did it take you to actually write what we
So the,
see today?
the original plan, I had a master spreadsheet in which I had categories of topics.
Hmm.
Under finance, I would speak about debt and assets and return on investment. And under risk, I would speak about risk mitigation and assessing risk, and a whole list of topics based on my experiences and character building, and a whole list. And after I determined that list, and I had easily 365 plus topics, I said I would write 1 page per day
Sure.
on each topic. And so I started that in January of this year, and quickly found that I had a good rhythm. Some days I wouldn't write, but then other days I would sit and write 5 pages. And I suspect
Yeah.
that's the experience of most
Yeah.
writers. There's a flow that you get
Yes.
into, and sometimes you take a break. But really, by the time I got to June, I had half of my 365
Yeah.
topics written. And by that point, as I checked with my daughter, I felt I had done enough, that there was
Okay.
a significant body of work there that would be a good body of work for a young child to appreciate, but also for an older adult to
Sure.
also absorb.
Okay. And so the way we see it now, that's how you started writing it. That because it kind of you were talking to your daughters throughout the book, so it was a lot more personable than you were. Here's a lesson. This is what I learned. But no, it's like no, let me speak directly to you. So that is how you always intended on writing.
That's correct. That's the motivation that I had when I started writing. And I would even say that whenever I would be blocked, it
Uh-huh.
was easier for me to unblock when I remembered my target audience was them,
Yes.
because then I just went back to sharing a story and ensuring that the story connected back to a lesson I intended to teach.
Oh wow.
Mm.
That's good. That's a whole lot of lessons there, even for writers. Just being able to focus, understand who your audience is, and just remembering that throughout the process. Because if you can do that, you're less. You were halfway there to your lesson. So, um, were you a writer before this? I know you did marketing, and that requires some writing, but did you write
No,
before?
I hold the title of writer and author in such high regard. I would never call myself one.
Well, you are
I
now.
You are.
I suspect some would say that. Yeah.
Okay.
I never wrote anything of this caliber or this substance before. My writing had always been in business, and so I'm used to writing 100, 2, 3, 400-page proposals for business,
Yes.
responding to requests for proposals that are quite technical
Hmm.
and quite salesy, right?
Yeah.
So that discipline certainly was in me. In addition, because I do so much public speaking and preaching at church, I'm quite accustomed to writing long speeches. So those two experiences were quite useful here in having the discipline to write every day. But this is the first time that I wrote something with this volume from the heart.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did it make it any easier?
At times, it made it more difficult because it was so much more personal.
Sure.
And some of the stories that I write, I speak about moments in time, and I remember how I felt in those moments in time. And so, in hindsight, as I read back the story, I sometimes wondered, will I print this book and will this be shared broadly? And am I okay with exposing this story and how I felt at that time?
Sure.
So, no, it was not easier. It was more difficult to write this than it was to write business script, but this was far more rewarding.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, you said your daughters are 16 and 12, correct?
Yes.
Uh, I know that they're proud of their dad, but they are still teenagers. So,
Mhm.
how has their response been?
All through the process of writing the book, I made them part of the process in that
Okay.
sometimes I would read them a page or two.
Sure.
I also sometimes would ask them about the format. At one point, I wondered if I should turn the book into a blog instead and
Hmm.
every day release a page on my website. And my 16-year-old said, I'd rather you not do that because I want the physical reward of holding a book in my hand.
Good for
First
her.
one.
Good for
I figured you would like that. She also said she didn't want the added stress of feeling she was falling behind on my daily posts. So if she
Okay.
didn't read a post, she would have to now try to
Yes.
catch up. So that
Yes.
whole angle didn't work for her. So I was able to gauge their interest and satisfaction throughout. But now that it's finished, I see a different level of appreciation, not only about the substance and content of the book, but also about the process of finishing a project. And
Yeah.
that's actually one of the topics I speak of in the book, the
Yeah.
notion of pressing on when something is hard,
Hmm.
doing it even though you're unsure, and experiencing the satisfaction of a job well done, even
Yeah.
if it's not something you're doing for financial gain, but just for personal interest. Being able to experience the satisfaction that comes from persevering through something you're unsure of
Yeah.
is something I want them to see. And by me doing this, they can look back and say, Daddy did it, I can do it too. And they can pursue an interest that is beyond perhaps their main vocation or career choice.
Now, do either one of them have an aptitude for writing?
My youngest, for a long time, has said that she wanted to be an actress. And in
Okay.
recent times, she has evolved to say that she wants to play a role behind the camera as a producer
Oh,
and a
that's
movie
awesome.
writer. And
All
so
right.
we have had occasions to see her work. In fact, there's a story in the book that speaks about her having written a mini movie that she filmed and directed and
Oh.
produced all by herself using the oldest laptop and camera in the house. So she's already starting to show signs of interest. At the same time, I try not to pressure her, recognizing
Sure.
that at 12, I had visions of doing all kinds of things as well
Mhm.
that manifested into different aspirations. And so we try to be supportive and at the same time let her know that she has a whole world of options in
Oh,
front of
yeah.
her.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Look, and she could do that with the oldest laptop and camera in the house. Imagine what she can do with brand new,
That's right.
up-to-date equipment. So
That's right.
that is awesome. So let me switch the questions a little bit now because you
Mhm.
you are the son of Haitian immigrants. You live in Canada. How has that affected your outlook? And do you think that your background contributed to the lessons in the book or your outlook in life? Because on your website you address yourself as husband, father, servant leader. So
Mhm.
speak about that a little bit.
Yeah. My upbringing, particularly in the context of being a child of a Haitian parent, truly had an impact on me in this book. I'll speak about two or three dimensions.
Mhm.
One, my father was very good at instilling discipline and at teaching me what he learned that he felt was important in his life. Music plays a very large part in my life, and that's completely because of my father's
Mhm.
education. He put a guitar in my hand when I was 6 and a bass guitar when I was 8 so that I could play the bass while he played the guitar.
Oh,
And we
wow.
went on many, many road trips together playing, and that was a very important part of my upbringing. And so
Mhm.
I thank him for that. And I know that that appreciation for culture, music, is very much ingrained in the Haitian culture that he passed on to me. Secondly, because he was so focused on ensuring that we had a successful life in Canada, he was very careful with not taking on too much risk. I mentioned in the book that I
Yeah.
never saw my father buy a new car.
Yeah.
The concept of a new car was a foreign concept in our home. We were always the family that made sure we bought cars that we could afford, and that sometimes meant the car wasn't the best looking or the best sounding,
Mhm.
but it made sure that all of us could sleep at night because we were never worried about excessive debt or
Yeah.
anything of the sort. So that had a great impact on me. I also speak about my mother who was a prayer warrior. I
Yeah.
mentioned in the book that
Yeah.
at any given time, my children may walk into a room and hear me speaking and expect to hear their mother speak back, only to find that I'm speaking to myself. And I've been doing that for years. And I attribute that to seeing my mother speak to herself, but truly being a praying woman who
Yeah.
would pray out loud to God and thank Him for all of His goodness and mercies, or pray for us.
Mhm.
And so that too had a great impact on me. And then lastly, I'd mention the great sense of community. Because my parents were immigrants, they relied on a togetherness in the 70s and 80s that really was remarkable in our childhood. So I have memories of spending all day in church and not complaining about it, being quite happy to be in church all day and enjoying the potluck and enjoying the games and the
Yes.
social in the evening.
Right.
That was very much the fabric of my childhood, and part of why I moved our family here in Ottawa, because that's where I experienced so much of that. And I was trying to recreate that for my children here.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Awesome. Now you speak constantly from your lessons from a leader's standpoint. Obviously, that's intentional. Tell us why you wrote it that way.
I want the children to understand servant leadership from the perspective that a leader can lead wherever they are. And so I have experienced in my own life, whether I was appointed authority in a particular organization or simply serving where I was commissioned to serve with my role and my restricted scope, that God has given me certain leadership abilities that I'm
Mhm.
able to apply wherever I am. And so, firstly, I want the children to understand that they are leaders wherever they are. And they have an opportunity and a responsibility to exert that leadership with humility and kindness and purpose wherever they are. that's one reason I speak about leadership so much. Secondly, I speak of it because as I've been able to serve, I've been rewarded with more opportunities to lead. And so
Right.
I truly believe in this concept of servant leadership, following Jesus's model that if you seek to elevate the well-being of people around you, then you will be given opportunities to exert authority. And the more authority you have, the greater your responsibility to serve more
Yes.
people in more capacities. So I find those to be important concepts. I've been rewarded greatly in my own life, both in my community services, but also in my career, to think first of serving others, the well-being of others, and I've been greatly rewarded in my own personal life. I wanted them to see that it's okay. In fact, it's cool to be kind and to serve others, and to not worry that by putting others first, you would find yourself last. In fact, my experience has been that by putting others first, others will bring you along and put you ahead because they know that you have their well-being in mind, and
Yes.
God rewards you that way.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. So I've got one more question. Oh, did you want to jump in, Andrea?
Look, I am enjoying you and Juanito, but I do. There are a couple of things that I do want to say. So if you go on with that one, I'll go after you.
Okay. So my last question is, you end on this note. Remember, though, it may not always feel like it, you have a Father who loves you unconditionally. This love is greater and deeper than you know. And if you want to learn how to apply the lessons in this book or just want to talk, I'm easy to find. Reach out. So obviously, you're talking to your daughters, but on a different level, it feels almost spiritual. Or, if I love honestly the like progressive commercials where they have the father from Family Matters, the internet dad,
Mhm.
and that's how it felt when I read that part. So, you are in this place now. You are dad.
Mhm.
To whomever is reading the book, to whomever needs a dad, to whomever wants a dad. So,
Mhm.
tell us about that ending.
It has a dual interpretation. You're right, Ruth, in that I wanted the reader, if there is a young woman who's reading this who doesn't have a father figure in their life, and there's a topic,
Mhm.
any topic in the book that resonated with them and they'd like to hear more about it, I wanted them to know that they can use the email or
Sure.
the website and connect with me. And I would be happy to have that conversation. And if I can help in some way, help. If I can connect them in some community near them that can help, then do that. That was one application. The second application was intentionally spiritual because I want people to know that there is a God who loves them, who cares
Yeah.
for them. And people may have had different experiences through religion, through their upbringing, and different beliefs. And it's simply an invitation. If
Yeah.
someone was compelled by something that they read to want to ask more question or discover more about this love, I'm simply letting them know that I'm willing to have that conversation with them. And sometimes some may read the book and have some interest in something that is purely technical. For example, I speak about how to calculate the internal rate of return if you're trying to assess which investment to put your money into. Uh, They may call and have that interest and that interest only. And if that is
Yeah.
their only interest, then I'm okay having just that conversation.
Yeah.
But if there's interest in something else, then I'm also prepared to have a conversation about something else. It's an
Wow.
invitation.
Wow.
Awesome.
That is awesome because I feel like we have, and not just a generation, because I think it's generations. We have children. We have people who are out there who want a dad, who may not have had one, but are looking for one. And you have placed yourself in that position.
Yeah.
And that to
Mhm.
me is beautiful. It's admirable. And I will end on that. I really enjoyed your book. Um, And I think that it's like I started off with, I think it is very needed at this time.
Thank you, Ruth.
So,
I appreciate that.
and since our other host is not here, Andrea, I'm going to toss it to you in a second. She actually texted us earlier to say that she also loved the book so much tonight, and she will be getting a copy for her book for her girls. So, I just wanted to add that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Now, when Ruth told you she loved the book, she loved a book. Because Ruth doesn't always have that many questions, but she said, going in, there are just some things I want to talk to him about. And I said, have at it, just do it, because there are always things that will resonate with all of us in terms in the books that we've read, and that this is that type of book. When Victoria is here, there's one thing that she says all of the time at the very end of the show, and that is it. Get the book. Get the book. As Juanita said, it's not just the topics that are there, but it's the subtopics that are there. So that you can walk away with one thing, but there's always these different points of discussions that you can bring out later or that you can talk about later. I have a question for you, and I want to give you time. Audience, we had asked Juanito to pick out something that he wanted to read to us from the book, because I want to be that daughter in the back seat. I want to put myself in their place and just hear you read a little bit about some of the things that you shared. But my question is this: how did you determine what those lessons were going to be? Because I collaborated with my granddaughter on a book, and we chose some things that I had shared with her, little nuggets, and the book's actually called Nanny Nuggets, because I sent her little text things in the morning to help her through the day, but they were always based on knowing where she was at the time, what she may have been going through, what she may have been experiencing. So I targeted what I was going to say to her for that morning based on the situation. Now with this, and with you having so much content and so many things that you could share, what was that car ride actually like? Right. When they got in the car, did you have in mind, today I'm going to share management of money? Or was it born out of a question maybe that they had, or something that they may have been experiencing at the time? So how do car ride conversations really come about?
Truly, Andrea and Ruth, I can tell you that all of the above, but I will share with you some of the intentional criteria that I use, because there were a few intentional criteria as well. For one, as an overarching goal and objective I have for the book, it is for the ladies to know within themselves that they are royalty. For the ladies to know within themselves, without seeking the affirmation of others or of social media or of strangers, to know that they can make a meaningful contribution to society because they have competencies that they can develop, they can build on, and they have a unique value proposition to offer to the world. So as an overarching goal, this was a purpose. I was mindful of making sure I taught them lessons that at the end they would be aware of their worth. Even if no one were to ever tap them on the back, they would know that they were royalty. That was an overarching goal. A second, I thought about lessons that are not always taught to young women, at least that I did not see taught to young women as frequently when I was growing up. And so concepts such as discernment, the notion of being able to tell the difference between good, better, and best. We often speak about right and wrong. That's the base of the ethical dilemma. But how to tell good, better, and best, I felt was not something spoken of as often. The notion of risk taking and risk tolerance, I didn't feel was something that we heard often about within my circle for young ladies. And so I spoke of things that I had not seen and heard spoken of to young ladies, and that I wanted them to hear from me, from a Christian worldview and from their father, rather than from anyone else from any other worldview. And then as a third criteria, I focused on lessons in which they could see that I learned too. In fact, the excerpt that I'll read for you today is an excerpt of a lesson that I learned through one of their actions. So I wanted them to see that even I, as a father and as an adult, continue to grow and learn in some of the mistakes that I make and in some of the interactions we have with them as children, that God is using them as a vehicle to teach us some things too. So those are at least some of the criteria.
Yes.
And in addition, yes, questions that they asked would cause me to put something in my memory bank and say, on the next car ride, I'm going to get you with that one. And I would strategically place some of those conversations to tackle a question that may have come up or a situation that came up. Yeah, it's all of the above.
All of the above. Well, I am getting in the car now. I am in the seat. I've got my seatbelt on, and it's time for Dad's car ride. So tell us, share with us what you want to from the book.
All right. This is a vignette called Being Slow to Anger.
Oh.
And it's under the chapter of building character. This is a chapter in which I point out some of the characteristics I believe to be of great value for the kind of woman that I married, that I love so dearly, my dear wife, that I wanted my daughters to emulate. And it's the characteristic of being slow to anger.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, raising a 3-year-old daughter lovingly is a real test of patience. At that age, a child has learned just enough words to be able to speak in incomplete sentences that leave you wondering if they're being disrespectful or really just don't know the right words to say. It is also the age when a child learns emotional manipulation. Left unchecked, they will harness this skill for the rest of their lives. When children err, a parent can really struggle between instituting discipline and showing compassion for this half-cute, half-crook mini-me, creating tension that leaves the parent ready to snap at a moment's notice. Years ago, when you were 3, we were in the basement playing puzzles. To encourage you and myself, I would enthusiastically congratulate you on small wins and raise my hand for a high five whenever you placed a piece of the puzzle in the right spot. Without warning, you suddenly exclaimed, "I want shiny!" As I was well versed in baby talk, I understood you meant you wanted something to eat. You said, "I want waffle." And I responded, "You want a waffle?" You thought for a moment and said, "I want cereal." And I responded, "Okay, you want cereal, not waffle." You responded, "I want waffle." By now, you had a smile on your face, which made me think you were not hungry and just being silly. So we continued to play until you erupted, almost in tears, screaming this time very clearly, "I want to eat!" Fearing that Family and Children's Services Department of the government would come for me, I quickly moved towards the kitchen. I asked you again if you wanted a waffle or some cereal. When you calmed down, you said cereal. So I quickly poured a bowl and left it on your high chair table. With one swift hand motion, you knocked the bowl of cereal on the floor and began screaming, "I want waffle! I want waffle!" I was more than angry. I was livid. I hurried to prepare a waffle and gave it to you before turning my attention to clean the milk and cereal off the floor. As I picked up the last grains of cereal, I looked up to see you looking down at me with a proud grin. You had a piece of waffle in one hand, with the other hand lifted in the air as you said joyfully, "Yay, Daddy, you did it! High five!" And at that moment, my anger disappeared and I gave you a high five.
Now, that portion that you read right there says to all of us, while your target audience might be that age between 13 and 24, it's a book for nannies. It's a book for parents. It's a book for anyone who interacts with young people.
Yes.
And that is what makes this such a great book. So no matter what age you are, because we have a lot of grandmas out there who are raising children now,
Mm,
and they're taking care of them, and they're in different, while they're in different stages of their life. We're always talking about ways to bridge that generation gap and to
mm.
be able to relate to one another and be able to be effective in doing that. So yes, get the book. Everybody that I see that's tuned in, that is listening tonight, those who will see the replay, those who will come back on Saturday and see it again at 7 o'clock, you got your instructions. Get the book. You have to get the book. Juanito, how can they find you? What is your website that
Mhm.
people can go to, and how can they contact you through any other means, and how can they get the book?
All right. So to reach the website, it's my full name, which is spelled Wanito, Juanito Bernardin, BERNADIN.com. So Juanito Bernardin. And I've been doing okay with search engine optimization, so that if you even type Juanito BER, Google will help you and take you to my website, JuanitoBernardin.com. That's the website, and there you'll find the book. You'll also find the ebook now in most online stores. You'll find it in Amazon and Apple and a few other outlets that have been added in recent days. Now, to reach me, you can do the same in that you email info@JuanitoBernardin.com, and that will get to me as well. I mentioned in my bio on my website that up until recently, I didn't have social media. So I've just created an Instagram account for the first time.
Good
And I
for
only
you.
have 2 posts, one about the book and another one also about the book.
Okay.
So I would tell people, if you want to connect with me to Instagram, you can do that at Dad's Car Rides. That's
Mhm.
my handle. And be patient with me as I integrate that sphere of marketing and connecting. But certainly email, I'm on top of all the time. And you'll find that email again at the back of the book, and also info@JuanitoBernardin.com, and also on the website. If you want a physical copy of the book, I'll encourage you to get that from my website, and I'll ship it out to you. I'll even send you an email afterwards to make sure you're happy and that you've got it. If you want a digital version of the book, then you can get it from Amazon, you can get it from Apple, you'll get it from Google. You can also get it from my sites and a whole list of online outlets as well.
Awesome. And when you get the book and when you have an opportunity to read the book, be sure that you go back and give Juanito a review
Yes.
of
Yes.
the book. Be sure that you do that, because it is definitely well worth the read. We are so happy that you decided to write this,
Yes.
because it really is. It is a special book also, because there is always attention placed on the absentee father,
Mm.
and to have you put this book out with such care and be able to share the things that you share is not only necessary, but we're just proud to have you do it, and
Thank
that
you.
we can benefit from it. And I think that's wonderful. Now, I got one last question to ask you. Are you going to do an Audible?
There is an audiobook. I'm glad you asked the question. So the audiobook is also available on my website. Yeah,
Oh,
if you go
Awesome.
on the website, you'll find the audiobook and you'll hear me reading, just as I read this excerpt. It's
yes.
being read by me.
Okay.
I will look for opportunities to share the audiobook on other platforms as well, but for now, it is available quite easily from my website, JuanitoBernardin.com. Thank you for asking that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, then I'm satisfied. I got everything that I need to do. Juanito, thank you so very much for being with us tonight and for sharing with us on all levels, because I tell you, it really, really is a wonderful book. And we love to read and to read stories and read things that people put together. But when there is such intentionality with it, and just you have just captured so many things, and like you say, so many lessons that are not necessarily taught. What we had a pastor that used to say, some things are taught and other things are caught.
Mm.
This book allows that,
Mhm.
because in the teaching, we are catching some things that are going to be deeply rooted, that we're not going to forget. So thank you so much. And thank you for the book, and thank you for being with us. And listeners, thank you for tuning in as well. We are glad that you were with us tonight and had an opportunity to meet Juanito Bernardin and hear about his book, Dad's Car Rides. This program will be rebroadcast on Saturday at 7 p.m. So if you know anybody who didn't have an opportunity to be with us tonight, please encourage them to come back on Saturday at 7 p.m. and they will be able to hear from Juanito again. And that is it for us for tonight. Ruth, I know you have some closing words.
Absolutely. And for our audiences who maybe YouTube or prefer podcasts, those will be uploaded by midweek. So anyway, you can find us and re-listen to the show. Please follow us on social media. We are on, like I said, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So we're out there. Also, if you want to be a guest on our show, if you have any questions, you can email us at authorsup@gmail.com.
And Juanito, is there any final comment that you want to leave our listeners with as we close out tonight?
Let us cherish our daughters. We need them. We need our daughters. So let's love them. Let's teach them. Let's care for
Yes.
them.
Yes.
I can't think of a better thing to say to close out the show tonight. So thank you again. God bless you, and everything that you aspire and inspire to do to help us along this journey called life, and help us to be as effective as we can in building this next generation that's coming on, and helping them to understand their value and their worth. Priceless, absolutely priceless. So that's it for us for the evening. You all come back next week. We will be right back here on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. For another edition of Authors Up. Guys, have an absolutely amazing week, and hopefully we'll see you back here next week. So take care and good night.
Good night.